Hello, hello. It's time for the Halloween special of what I watched in a month, even though this is going up after Halloween, but let's just dive right in there. So, the very first thing that I watched in October was Mashal Magic and Muscle Season 2. And we all remember the last episode of the show where I watched Mashal Season 1 and lamented that it starts off as a okay gag comedy series and then slowly devolved into showing me Mash's friends fighting a bunch of bullshit, boring action fights that I don't care about. Where's the show me Mash bench pressing, show me Mash doing squats, let me objectify Mash? But instead, they did boring bullshit. Now, I don't remember what I scored Mash Season 1, and I could scroll and look, but I'm not going to. But instead, I'll just say I gave Mash Season 2 an 8 out of 10, which I know is definitely better than whatever Season 1 had. I think like Season 1 got like a 5 or a 6. But I think that begs the question like, oh, okay, so Season 2, they must go back to what you want, which is more of the like silly bullshit, which kind of a little bit. The first few episodes are more silly bullshit, but then they very quickly pivot to a Mash and the other kids at Hogwarts doing a like tuning exam style tournament arc thing. And most of the episodes are dedicated to Mash. Even though it's more of the fighting, which I thought was boring in Season 1, it was actually entertaining because it's Mash, character who can't do magic in a world full of magic, just beating guys up with his fucking bare knuckle boxing them. Um, the worst episode of the whole fucking season is one of the episodes where they dedicate back to Mash's friend, red hair guy who has explosion magic, where they were like, how do we. Okay, these episodes were already boring in Season 1, so how do we take that to the next level and make them actually awful? There's an episode where Mash is off, I think literally facing off against the big bad, and you're like, hell yeah, it's gonna be like a big, cool, dynamic battle. And then they're like, okay, but we're gonna cut back to Mash's friends. An explosion guy is gonna get turned into a baby, and because he's a baby, he's not gonna be able to talk. He's just gonna be saying like "goo goo gaga," and he's gonna have to beg Gravity Guy to help him fight. And Gravity Guy's gonna be like, "Who's this dumb fucking baby? I hate babies." And I don't remember anything else other than that setup because presumably they just beat the bad guy and then Explosion Guy could stop being a dumb baby. But yeah, that was grueling of me being like, hey, this season's pretty good. And then they fucking troll me by having this baby episode. I truly don't. Because maybe that's supposed to be like a joke, but a very, very bad one, I guess. Because it wasn't funny. And that episode sucked penis. But yeah, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if they're making more MASH. I know I looked it up at one point and there's like 200 something chapters of MASH in the manga. So they could do like so many seasons, especially because it's like Season 1, MASH is like, oh, I gotta hide that I don't know magic. Season 2 starts and everyone's like, hey dude, you don't know magic. And he's like, yeah, you got I don't know magic. And then he's like, okay. He's like, but I'm still gonna be the best wizard ever. And they're like, yeah, sure, dude, whatever. So then they instantly do the tournament arc bullshit where it's to have him be like whatever the fucking Hokage of wizards is. So like it kind of, I don't know if in between Season 1 and Season 2 in the manga if they could have skipped a bunch of shit. I don't know, but the way the season ends, it's also like there'll be more. But as far as I know, I don't think a third season has been like greenlit or announced or whatever. But I think it's popular enough that it'll get one, if not just to farm more creepy nuts bling bang sales. But yeah, 8 out of 10. I was very pleasantly surprised by Mashal Season 2, especially in comparison to Season 1. I'll come back for Season 3. Although if Season 3 is more Season 1 fuckery, I'll probably bail. Then we move on to the next thing that I watched. We watched The Dinner Table Detective. Now, that... I read the title and I was like, oh, that sounds like it could be cool. It's like a whodunit anime. That could be interesting. Unless they do the trope I hate, where the main character is just like a omniscient god that's like, well, I'm a smart detective, so I just know everything that could ever happen ever. So I just snap my fingers and the case is solved. But that would almost be better than what we did get, which is that the main girl is a fucking buffoon. She's a fool. She's an idiot. And she has this butler, and they probably explained why she had a butler. It seems like she's like a detective on the side, and she works with another detective, like a some twink, and she's like, I can't let him know I'm like royalty, because in like episode 1 is them at like a big fancy ritzy dinner party, and like someone she knows is the victim. So like she has to pretend that she doesn't know all the people there, and like that was an interesting hook at first. Every episode after failed to be a hook, failed to hook me like that at least. But because she's like high society, she has a butler, a slave, and this butler slave solves all the issues. Like she'll be like, I need to walk in and solve this fucking crime, and he'll be like, well, madam, I know you're not a fucking idiot, so surely you've deduced. And then he just explains exactly what, you know, the solution to the crime is, and she's like, yeah, I knew that, I just wanted to see if you did, haha. And then so yeah, it's like not very entertaining to watch an idiot like fail to do her job. And it feels like every episode, it's called The Dinner Table Detective, and every episode the butler goes, madam, don't you know we can't solve this crime yet, you have to eat, because all crimes are best solved after dinner. And it feels like the author or the writer really thought that they like cracked the code, and they were like, this is my magnum opus. Society cannot continue on unless I write a fucking series entirely centered around the phrase, you can't solve a fucking detective case unless you've eaten food. Because they say it not just at the end of the episode, like, oh, before we solve the crime, eat your goddamn slop. They say it multiple times every fucking episode. It was unbearable. Now, I guess I'm being a real fucking hater right now, but I did only give it a 5 because it was boring. It wasn't good, but it wasn't like irredeemable. There was no pedophilia. There was no SA like in all my favorite shows. To give it a lower score, but when I posted this on the internet, not on Instagram, my friend Hannah DMs me that she was gonna check it out, and she was like, "Yeah, it was really boring 1 episode in, so I gave up instantly." So this is me falling on that sword where I'm here to commit to watching all the boring dog shit to tell you, hey, this one's not for you. This one's not for me. I don't know who this one's for. Fucking idiots, I guess, that like people that would hear all the best crimes are solved after dinner, and that they stand up crying and oh my god, if they stand up clapping and crying, they're like, holy shit, he said it again, this is peak. And then they get that phrase tattooed on their wrist. But like, they really thought it was such a hit line that the whole show ends with the main idiot girl and the butler in unison saying like, all the best crimes are solved at their dinner, and then it's like, dinner table detective, credits, theme song, and I was like, oh my god, someone put a bullet in my head. Why the fuck did I watch this? But yeah, 5 out of 10. Based on the way that I'm shitting myself, I really think maybe I should have given it less, but whatever. I can't retroactively change things, and I've definitely never done that before. So the next thing I watched is my very first yaoi. Well, not really, but it's about 2 gay guys, kind of. Not kind of, it is. It's about 2 gay guys. I don't know why I said kind of. I'm lying. It's called The Summer Hikaru Died. Summer Hikaru Died is about this boy. I forget the main guy's name, but there's this. So it's about 2 best friends. Main guy whose name I forget. It's like Gonisha or something like that. That's probably fucking not true at all. But it's about main guy and Hikaru, and they're best buds. And Hikaru, part of this family that's like got to go into the woods to tell this like local spirit to fuck off and keep protecting them, and not to like be a scary ghost in their town. So Hikaru goes to like do his birthright, and then he fucking dies in the woods. And then main guy sees Hikaru's dead body and is like, well, he's dead. Leaves, is sad, has to come to terms with the fact that his best friend is dead, and then he's probably gay for his best friend. And then I think a week goes by, and then Hikaru shows back up and is like, hey everybody, yeah, it was crazy that I went missing in the woods, huh? And then after however long of them just like being back at school, main guy is like, so you're not Hikaru, huh? And then Hikaru's face like melts, and he's like, oh fuck, I really liked you. I didn't want to have to kill you. And then main guy is like, you don't have to kill me. I won't tell anyone that you're a big scary monster. And Hikaru's like, bet, that's thanks, man, that's awesome. And then he stops melting. Uh, and main guy, the rest of the show is basically main guy coming to terms with the fact that he's gay for Hikaru, and Hikaru's here, but it's not Hikaru because it's actually the monster of the woods, and he thinks to himself like, well, it's better to have him here like this than to not have him at all. But then he has to keep dealing with the fact that it looks like Hikaru and it sounds like Hikaru and it's kind of like Hikaru, but it's just different enough that it's like unsettling, especially since he knows that it's not Hikaru, it's this weird forest monster. Now at the beginning I said it was Yaoi because the main guy is gay for Hikaru. I think in season 1 they didn't reveal whether or not Hikaru felt the same way or not. At the very least, the monster, I mean, they say again and again that the monster is like doesn't understand human emotions and he'll just like kill people like willy nilly. Because he's like, oh, I'm a monster. That's my whole thing is that I just kill guys. But he knows that he very clearly likes main guy, and when main guy like is upset at him or whatever, it makes the monster react. So he clearly is feeling feelings, but he's like, I don't know what that is even. Now, there is a scene where they are together in their classroom, I think, and I forget the context because it's been a few weeks since I watched it now. My cat's screaming. Where Monster Hikaru is like, I want you to like really like get an understanding of what I am. So he like has his like chest or stomach open up, and then main guy sticks his hand in, and this is when things get really gay, which is fine, but it almost would be less gay if they just like had sex with each other on screen, I think. Now what happens here is main guy sticks his hand inside Hikaru, and Hikaru moans and is like, it feels good. And main guy's like, oh, it felt gross at first, but yeah, it does feel good. It feels like I'm getting a handful of raw chicken. And I'm just watching this. I'm like, what am I watching right now? Why are they doing this? And then that scene goes on for 2 to 3 minutes, and of him fondling Hikaru's insides while they moan and say it feels good, and then it stops. Then there's otherwise it's like I watched it. I first heard about this when it was announced on Twitter, or at least I saw an announcement of it on Twitter. I don't know if it was announced on Twitter or whatever. Where it was like new series. I read the description. I was like, that sounds awesome. Couldn't find it like officially. Couldn't allegedly find it to pirate. So I was just like, I guess I just won't read this. And then when I heard it got an anime, I'm like, oh great, I'll watch that. That's awesome. Then I watch it, and I go in for the horror of it because I'm not, despite every comment I get, I am not gay. I like women, I promise. But I'm not here for the gay romance. I don't care that it's happening, but that didn't draw me in. What drew me in was the fact that it was like labeled as a horror series, and the best parts of the series, unfortunately, aren't the raw chicken gay sex, but instead are the scenes where main guy is like freaking out of like he sees Hikaru almost kill a classmate when she like kind of finds them out. Spoilers. And then he just like runs away and like starts to vomit, and like those are the best scenes of like main guy being like, what should I do here, because this guy was my best friend and I'm in love with him, but it's not my best friend because it's this monster. But if I like kill him or banish him into the woods or whatever, I won't have my lover. Yeah. There's also a sub story about some guy that seems like some kind of monster hunter, some kind of ghost hunter that's like there to deal with it. But then by the last episode, he seems like to endorse the fact that main guy will be gay with this monster. But unfortunately, there's only one season. A second season is announced. There's not that much manga out, so I imagine there won't be a third season like right away. But I'm interested to see where it goes. I give this one an 8, by the way. I don't think I said that. 8 out of 10. It was a very good watch. I watched it like slowly over the course of 1 week after it all came out. And but because it's not a complete story, because it just kind of ends where there's several times where the main guy's like, I've got your back, Hikaru. Like, I won't tell anyone about you, and then he'll like go tell people about Hikaru. But then like the last episode, he's like, no, for real, like I really won't. I love you, the monster, and not just Hikaru. And it's like, oh my god, he needs more raw chicken scenes. So yeah. And the final scene is the ghost hunter guy walking up to them and being like, giving them this pool float that they let get away from them in a big dramatic scene. So it seems like Monster Hunter guy's like, hey, it's pretty cool that you're gonna fuck this monster. So I'm looking forward to see where that goes. I don't think Hikaru was from this year. It was only from like a couple months ago. So I think the next season is already next year though. So I'm wondering if it's one of those things where they made 25 episodes, but they're just being like, it's 2 seasons. Don't worry about it, like they did for like Dawn to Dawn or Sakamoto Days. So it's time to move on. I'm at a standstill of what to say about Hikaru other than just fantasizing about the raw chicken scene again and again every night since I've watched it. The next thing I watched was My Dress Up Darling Season 2. My Dress Up Darling Season 1 came out a while ago, I think. I don't remember when. I didn't watch it when it was new, I know that. But the basic idea is that there's this main guy who lives with his granddad. His name is Wakana Gojo. Wakana Gojo wants to follow in his like grandpa's footsteps of making, they're called Hina dolls. I don't forget, they probably explain exactly what Hina dolls are. They are dolls. I think they are dressed in like traditional Japanese get-up specifically. I'm probably getting details wrong because fuck if I was like, before my video I have to put on my nerd glasses and research what Hina dolls are, because who gives a shit? Do it yourself. Relying on me to know what Hina dolls are, fuck off. But then one day, I forget why, he runs into, because he's like a anxiety-ridden freak, where he's like, if anyone finds out I make Hina dolls, they'll attack me with hammers. They'll beat me up behind the school. They'll hate me. So then he runs into this popular girl named Marin Kitagawa. And Marin Kitagawa is this like popular gyaru who also happens to be like a big old nerd, and she loves anime and manga and like games, and her favorite hobby is to cosplay, but she can't really like afford to do good cosplays because they're in high school. But then she finds out that Wakana is this like elite seamstress doll maker guy, and she's like, hey man, what if you made all my costumes and shit? So then they like begin a like mutually beneficial relationship where he becomes friends with this super like what why can't I think of the fucking word? Outgoing. Jesus, this guy's a fucking loser. He has no idea what he's talking. He doesn't know what Hina dolls are. He doesn't know the word outgoing. Unsub. He is, a loser, and she's popular, so then opposites attract, or what have you. So then he benefits from being friends with this bubbly girl, and she gets free cosplay material, I guess. No, but then it's actually really cool because he's attracted to her, obviously, but it's very early on in season 1 where she is like, literally says out loud, where she's like, holy shit, I think I'm in, well, she doesn't say holy shit. That would be crazy if it was written like I would write it, where she was like, I fucking love this guy. But she says out loud like, oh my god, I think I'm in love with Gojo. That's crazy. I didn't think that would happen. And then season 1 is mostly, I don't know why I'm recapping season 1. I need to get to talking about season 2. But season 1, it's mostly about them like establishing their relationship as partners to make cosplays and like whatever. And then they like meet other cosplayers and like do shoots and what have you. Season two, oh, I forgot to bring up the best scene in all of anime, where there's a really highly detailed animated scene of her in a bikini jiggling her boobies. So that's pretty cool. I mean, no, it's not. G16. Moving on to season two, they are. What do they need to do? They need to make costumes for like a big school play, and then this season is actually a lot less. Well, I was gonna say less about cosplay, but I guess it's a through line where they meet a cross dresser and they become friends with him, and they're like, "Hey, man, that's awesome. It's cool that you love like pretty clothes and shit." So this is now like 2 months in a row where I've watched anime that's got like pro cross dressing messages, which is pretty cool because it feels like even anime like 10 years ago would have been like, "That's disgusting. You're a fucking freak." But now I'm watching shows that are like, "No, that's actually pretty awesome." Then they need to make a cosplay for a school play that not a play. What the fuck was it? They think they literally just have Marnie dress up for like, look at what Marnie's wearing. Isn't that awesome? And then they move on. I don't remember. And then it ends with them all doing a big group cosplay for a horror game. And the main through line of the season though is Wakana Gojo realizing that when he like tells people like, "Hey, I make Marine stuff, blah blah blah," they think he's this like Giga Chad for being so passionate about his hobby of like sewing stuff and like make. I don't know if he fully revealed to anyone that he does the Hina dolls yet, but he's making progress in terms of being a little freak. So that's fun to watch. I hope there's less of a gap between season 1 and 2. I don't remember when season 1 came out, but I think there was a good several years in between seasons. I know now, within the last year, the manga's ended, so hopefully they can just like churn them out. That would be pretty cool. There was an episode where like in season 1 she like realizes like, "Oh my god, I'm in love with this guy," and then season 2 she sees him buying an energy drink and she thinks they're gonna fuck each other all night. She just like jumps to conclusions and she's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna ride me like a pole," and he's buying an energy drink because he like the trains are out, so he has to stay at her house. So she's like, "Oh my god, he has to stay at my place. He's gonna raw me." And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stay at her place. I'm deeply uncomfortable staying at a woman's house. I'm gonna drink a white Monster Energy and stay up all fucking night long." So then he stays up all night long. She passes out after they eat dinner, and she wakes up and she's like, "Oh, you didn't fuck me crazy style? Oh, that's my mistake." And he's like, "Well, I beat this video game you wanted me to beat." I don't have anything else to say about the show, so I'm just kind of gonna move on weirdly. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. I don't remember what I gave season 1 because I watched that years ago, but I think I went to go look because I liked this season more. So let's just assume season 1 got a 7, and this one gets an 8. Sorry, Discord notification jump scared me. The next thing I watched was a show called Lazarus. This one was hyped up on ye old Reddit because it's by Mr. Director Man, whose name I didn't look up. Maybe if I clicked it I could find out, but I'm not going to, because then it'll be me being like, "Where do I see it?" And that's not good content. But it's by the guy that made Cowboy Bebop. The guy that made Cowboy Bebop also made Samurai Champloo. I think he also made Space Dandy. I might be wrong about that one. But if he did, people love Cowboy Bebop, normie masterpiece. Samurai Champloo, normie masterpiece, but good because I've seen it and like it. Space Dandy, one of my personal goats. So, people were like, "Oh my god, I knew that guy's name. Anime, this is going to be the best." So I watched it. Not really. I mean, I like Samurai Champloo and I like Space Dandy. Never finished Cowboy Bebop. So I can't be like, "It's the Cowboy Bebop guy making a new show. I've got to tune in." Even though that's what every comment was. The basic plot outline is that there's, what are we, some kind of sewer slide squad that's like formed to... The initial plot is actually pretty cool, where there's this guy that made like a gigapill that's like this, like stops you from feeling any pain or discomfort from like any illness or whatever, blah blah blah. So like everyone in the world has taken it because it's this like miracle drug. And then he just like puts up a fucking Instagram reel and he's like, "Hey guys, I trolled your asses and that drug is gonna kill you in like 3 months. So peace. And then they're like, we need to find this doctor guy so we can get him to make a cure, because what's his fucking problem? Why'd he do this? So then they get, a bunch of prisoners, Sewer Slide Squad style, and there is very cool action set pieces, but the actual, like, moment to moment, plot to plot character stuff is fucking boring. So I gave this one a 5 out of 10. My trademark, it's not good, but it's not so bad that it deserves to be, like, clowned on. Unlike Dinner Detective, that show fucking sucked. Why'd I give it a 5? But Lazarus, it's so okay. Especially, most people, of so many people's favorite anime is Cowboy Bebop. So many people's favorite anime is Samurai Champloo. Not enough people's favorite anime is Space Dandy. That show fucks. But Lazarus, if you take those last 3 things, which are like certified bangers, you're like, well, Lazarus, that's an easy hit. And then you watch it and you're bored out of your fucking mind and you're like, oh my god, I had to watch fucking 13 episodes of this, and I did, and it was fine. I'm sure, one dud among this stuff, like, he's done good stuff, and this one was bad. So it's not like I'm going to be like, the next thing he does, I'm writing him off, I'll never watch it, because, I will, but I'm the king of watching bad shit anyway. Half the stuff I've watched on this list is bad, and half of it is good, which is actually pretty good, because usually it's all bad. But, yeah, that's Lazarus. I really can't recommend that one. You could YouTube, like, Lazarus all action scenes, and, like, that would be a way better way to watch the show than to actually sit down and watch it. The next thing I watched was Kakegurui Twin. Now, this is a spin-off prequel to this other anime called Kakegurui. Although, I had to look it up. I was like, is this canon? Because the main show starts off with this, like, boring-ass dude with brown hair. Looks like the most normal fucking guy in the world. At school. And then we're introduced to the real main character, Yumiko Jabame, who's this, like, dark-haired girl with big booba. And they go to this school, and it's revealed that it's a school, it's a very anime-style plot where this school is very prestigious, but also everything is run by gambling. So, like, if you have a disagreement with someone, that's all well and good, but you're going to end up in some kind of game or competition where you gamble away money or your life or whatever. And in the main show, there's Yumiko Jabame, and when she'll be like, I'm all in no matter what. And she's like, well, you see, I'm all in and I don't care if I lose, because the idea of staking it all makes me super, super horny and wet. So, obviously, it's a very good show. That's okay. I think, season 1 was pretty good, but then season 2 was fine. So, then, there's also another character in Kakegurui called, I think her name is Mary Saotome. That might be wrong. I might have made up Saotome. That's the character from Ranma. Maybe it's both. I don't remember. Who cares? But this is a spin-off prequel where it's like normal boring guy and Yumiko aren't there. This is before they came to the school, or at least before you're introduced to them. At least Yumiko. Yumiko is like a transfer student or something. So it's like, what was Mary up to before she, like, got in with boring guy and Yumiko? But I had to look up if it was canon, because it's a big plot of her having some other girl as a friend, and then, like, a library assistant who I don't remember from the main show even a little bit. Like, there's no point. Well, I say I don't remember, so maybe I'm speaking too definitively, and this does happen, but in the main show, Mary is only ever with the 2 leads, and never is like, and then there's my friend Jessica, and sometimes she's with us. I don't remember that at all. Or her being like, yo, library chick, what's up, girl? I don't remember that. But, so, it's just another series. It was a short series. It was 6 episodes as opposed to the main show, Kakegurui, which is, like, altogether, like, 20-something across both seasons. Where... So, yeah, I lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I'm saying or who I am. This show, it's just Mary doing the gambling. It's a little less interesting. She's not as good as gambling as Yumiko. She also doesn't, like, gamble away her life and then just start, like, finger banging herself under the table. So it's not, why am I watching it? No, it was a good show. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it probably would have gotten a lesser score if it was longer than 6 episodes, which, maybe that means it's really a 6 or a 5. Yeah, it's too good to be a 5. But it's a really, you could watch it in one day, which I think I mostly did. I think I watched 2 episodes one day and then the other 4 the next day. Pretty decent. I would definitely recommend the main show over it, although if you watched the main show and you were like, I need more gambling, then you could watch this. Moving on after this, I watched a show called Mono, which I thought was cool. No, I'm lying. I thought, before I watched it, I thought this sounded cool, is what I mean to say. Because this show sucked cock. This show gets a 4 out of 10. This is one of the most boring fucking shows I've ever watched. It's inoffensive, but it's literally just... The premise is that there's this girl and she's like, oh man, I should join a club because I'm a fucking loser and I have no friends. So then she joins the photography club. And then you're like, okay, like every episode will be about like the different photos she takes. Nope. This show is a bog standard slice of life, which it should be because it's about a photography club. However, the real plot line that they go with is that it's like, main girl befriends a manga artist, and every single time they're like, what do we take photos of? They go hang out with manga artist girl, and she's like, I don't know what my next chapter is going to be. Also, she's conveniently making a manga that is the plot of this anime. She's like, my manga's about you guys, photography member clubs taking photos of stuff. So it's really, like, every episode should be like, oh, what are they taking photos of? But it really becomes like them going on adventures to funnel more chapters for the manga artist lady. And holy fuck, was it boring. But it was not good at all, but it wasn't abysmal dog shit. So I get to 4 because it's not good, but you know, it's fine. Ultimately, it's fine, and realistically, maybe I should have given Dinner Detective Dinner Table Detective the 4 and this the 5, because I would rather rewatch Mono 700,000 times before I ever watched the Dinner Table Detective one again. But you know, like I said, I'm not changing it. What's set in stone is set in stone, even though I've definitely changed it up before. So then after that, I watched Sakamoto Days Part 2, which, interesting that they call it Part 2, because it's definitely literally like what I said earlier, where they just made us like one season of Sakamoto Days, but just were like, slice. Part 1 will be 11 episodes, and Part 2 will be another. I don't remember what I gave Part 1. I think an 8. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. Because holy fucking shit. I am not immune to hype and aura. This show cooks with just scenes that make you go like, yo, let's fucking go. This is the fucking best. It's just cool action scene after cool action scene, which is exactly how I felt when I read the manga. But it was also way more enjoyable because when Part 1 was coming out, you know, you got a bunch of fucking losers in your ear on your Reddits, on your Instagram, on your Twitters going like, you like Sakamoto Days? Don't you know it actually looks like shit because it's not animated by the Demon Slayer team? I've only ever seen Demon Slayer. Sakamoto Days looks totally fine. Part 2 definitely looks better than Part 1, but it never looked fucking bad. It just doesn't look like Demon Slayer, which not everything can be Demon Slayer. That's a goddamn fallacy. But oh my god, there's a scene where the main guy, Taro Sakamoto, is fighting in this building that's collapsing, and he has to like dive out a window, grab the wheel of a plane, rips the wheel of the plane off, skirts off the building, and then like uses it to bash the bad guy. I was like, hard eyes fucking coming. Oh my god. Is there no higher praise than jizzing? I would definitely very highly recommend this if you like action. If you don't, you would probably get absolutely nothing out of this, but I mean, like, it's so awesome. It's so cool. Come on, give it a chance. Come on, you can watch Demon Slayer and Sakamoto Days. You're not going to get to watch the movie for like 6 months when it comes out. So then after that, I watched this show because of the name. I've never watched a Gundam show before because when I was a little boy, I saw the big robots and I was like, big robots are actually fucking lame. Weird thought process to have, especially when I'm like Dragon Ball Z pilled and I'm like, oh, where are the action scenes? More action scenes, please. But yeah, I would see big robots and my eyes would glaze over and I would fall asleep in my chair. But then I was like, you know what? I want to watch this show because this show is called Mobile Suit Gundam GQUUUUUUX. Now, when I read that, I was like, that's the best fucking title anyone's ever written. And then you watch the show, and they say out loud that the model of the Gundam that the main girl drives is literally called Jaqueeks. I was like, this is fucking peak. God, writing is so hard. So I do think that, well, first of all, I give this an 8 out of 10 because I had a lot of fun watching this, but also I think that this was an anniversary project because so much of the plot is characters being like, I'm a character from the other Gundam universe here to make sure this world doesn't blow up because of these other characters from another Gundam universe. I think the only two original characters, I might be wrong about this, are Girl A and Girl B, the two like female leads of this show in particular. But yeah, like episode 2 is literally all about a guy that's definitely from the older shows that I've seen like screenshots of, and I'm like, that's the guy from the other Gundam shows. I was like, maybe it's just like a reimagining to include him. I don't know, but it turns out he's like they kind of, well, no, it is. It's like a multiverse story, but he's not actually from the other universe. He's just aware that there's people from other universes, and if he doesn't kill them, his universe is fucked. I don't know. Very early on, before they fully explained the multiverse stuff, they describe the people in the Gundams like going into the Kira Kira, and then when the Girl B asks Girl A, like, hey, what is Kira Kira? What is it? What are you talking about when you say that? She's like, to put it in my own language, it's like, it's when you lock the fuck in. And you go to the lock the fuck in dimension, and you can like speak to other Gundam users like through your hearts and your minds, and then you like feel amazing. And I'm like, that's fucking cool. You know, that's the exact kind of shit I would expect to see in fucking like One Piece or something. But it's in this Gundam show. The action scenes were very, very cool. A big clump of the first bit of the show was that the main girl is literally taking place in like Gundam 2v2 tournament style, and I'm like, let's go. I don't care about the multiverse plot, just show me robots punching each other. But then when they did reveal the multiverse plot, I was like, I have no idea what's happening, but I'm still enjoying myself, so it gets an 8. If it wasn't so enjoyable, it would probably get a lesser score, although this does inspire me to, I mean, there's other Gundam shows I've wanted to watch, like Iron-Blooded Orphans or The Witch from Mercury, because those are some cool fucking names. But now, obviously, I had to watch Mobile Suit Gundam Jaqueeks first, because that's the best name there is. But yeah, so going forward, I assume in future videos I'll be like, I finally locked in and watched Iron-Blooded Orphans, and it's not as good because there's no Jaqueeks. I didn't know. I mean, obviously it makes sense for the Gundams to have names. I think they say it's called Jaqueeks because that's just a placeholder name, and it doesn't have a real name yet, because like the big the guy that I saw from the other show, he rides the Red Devil or something, and it's like, or another, at one point they fight the one that's like the size of a fucking like gigantic multi-skyscraper sized Gundam, and they're like, that's Big Zam, and I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. Jaqueeks is at least epic. Red Devil's kind of cool. It's generic, but like Big Zam is a fucking stupid name. Then we're moving on to the final thing I watched in the month of October. I watched To the Beginning After the End, which, if you're like me, you read the title and thought, that fucking sucks dick. That is a dumb fucking name. I don't want to watch that. There's no way that's good. But then you're me, you're on Reddit, you click the threads, and people are like, they're finally making The Beginning After the End anime. This is one of the best comics I've ever read ever. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't believe you, but I guess I'll check it out. But then I waited a long time to watch this. I think this is from like a season or two ago. Every Reddit thread would be like, oh my god, how could they animate The Beginning After the End like this? It's some of the worst CG I've ever fucking seen. It's not even animated. It's like a CGI wolf doing this. It sucks. Oh, how could they do this? This is one of the greatest stories in all of fiction. And I'm like, oh my god, that's some high praise for something with such a stupid fucking name. Now, I watched this the other night, and the basic plot is that there was this guy that was like a king, and then he gets killed by his friend, and then it's interesting because it's like a reincarnation isekai story, but it's not like your typical isekai where it's like, if I get hit by a bus and then I wake up in Fantasy Town, I'm a modern day man waking up in Fantasy Town. Instead, it's guy from Fantasy Realm A waking up in Fantasy Realm B, and I'm like, okay, that could be interesting. And the original king guy, I couldn't find the voice actors for this show, but the original king guy, he has this like deep, sexy voice that I'm like, hell yeah, I could listen to this guy talk all day. However, because he gets reincarnated as a fucking baby, they then give the young body, a young body voice. So it's like, I think was it a guy? It was a guy or, a girl to be like, it's young. But then you don't hear sexy deep voice guy anymore. And I'm like, where'd he go? I feel like all of his internal monologue should be deep sexy voice guy, but eventually they largely phase him out for young voice guy. And that made it a harder watch. But, he gets reincarnated as a baby, and his dad is like a soldier and his mom, well, they were adventurers. So then the baby, is like, oh, cool, I'm gonna learn the magic of this realm. And then, like, he at first is like opposed to living this life because he's like, I didn't want this. Like, if I was gonna die, I kind of just wanted to die. But then he learns to, like, love his new parents, which is kind of an interesting angle. Although they very quickly, like, after not long, like 3 episodes deep, he, like, leaves with his parents and they get attacked and they're separated. And then he starts getting raised by a dragon. And I know you're thinking, wait, that sounds kind of dumb. It is. So then he's raised by this dragon, and this dragon's like, I was meant to raise you like this. And admittedly, I was fucking bored out of my mind, so I wasn't really paying attention during this moment. But the dragon, like, dies, but then while it dies, it, like, shits out an egg and then also imprints its abilities onto the kid, so then now he has, like, awesome dragon powers and a pet dragon. It's total just, like, power fantasy slop of, like, isn't it awesome how awesome he is? And it's like, maybe for some people, but for me, I'm bored out of my mind. I can definitely tell going forward, like, no other character is going to get to do anything because main guy's going to get to do it all. But so yeah, then his dragon mom dies, and then he is walking down the forest, and he encounters some slavers, and he's like, cool, time to use my abilities to stop these slavers. So then he saves some elf girl, and then the next, like, episode is him and the elf girl just hanging out in the woods. Like, he's like, I'll get you home. He gets her home. Turns out she's the princess elf. Whoa. She couldn't just be some elf girl, because he has to be indebted to the royal family and get trained by the coolest, strongest elf grandpa sorcerer ever so that he can be an even more epic wizard. Oh my fuck. It's so contrived to just be like, okay, how else can I make main guy more epic? It's so fucking boring. So then he uses magic to call his parents on the phone, and they're like, oh my god, you're alive? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out in Elf Town and be more epic. Hope that's okay. See you soon. And they're like, damn, okay, as long as you're okay. By the way, we had another baby. And he's like, oh, okay. And then, a few episodes of him training in Elf Town. Then he fucks off back to his parents, meets his younger sister that he now has. And then he also meets some, like, royal lady that doesn't have magic, but he's like, you know what? I'm a Giga Magic Man now, so I can actually just pour my magic into you and you'll get magic one day. And so he does that to the royal lady, and then he does that to the sister. And then I think there was a few episodes of that, of nothing happening. And then eventually, I don't remember, he is like, time for me to go out on a quest. I don't remember how or why he came to that conclusion. So he's like, bye, mom and dad. And they're like, at least take our sexy thief lady friend with you. So then now he has this, like, escort guardian of a thief lady. And they put him in a mask and then put him in a tournament where he one punches everybody. And then it's like, they very briefly set up that he's this, like, masked vigilante that, like, one punches all the bad guys. And then it ends. And they're like, stay tuned for more, but I won't be because I was bored out of my fucking mind. I really struggle to find what people, these super awesome Redditors were commenting on to be like, this is one of the greatest stories in all of fiction. You'll never see another story like the beginning after the end. And God, I hope not, because holy shit, that was boring. Maybe it's the best fucking show ever if you were like, if I got reincarnated as a baby, I would be just like main guy. I would also have Giga Magic and be raised by a dragon. He's just like me for real. He's just like me, and Sung Jinu's just like me, and Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen is just like me, and I'm also like... 45-minute long video of me listing other cool anime guys. They're all just like me because I'm epic. Did I say what I gave it? I gave it a 4 out of 10. It wasn't good, but it wasn't, another not. It could be so much worse. It could be Seven Deadly Sins, but very rarely are things as bad as that. But we had a pretty even split of like some things being very good, like Sakamoto Days or The Summer Hikaru Died. But yeah, I actually think that the beginning after the end would have been way better if he was reincarnated as a gay kid, and then there was raw chicken scenes in this one, but there wasn't, so it's bad. That's everything that I watched in October. The only horror thing I watched was Hikaru, although I don't even know how many horror anime there are. It's probably like a limited pool. But I mean, what am I going to do, a themed month instead of just watching what I want? I'm not going to do that. It's scary how bad some of these shows were, but like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.